Weakened by her loss to Scott Brown, Attorney General Martha Coakley is big game to GOP hunters. She promised a vigorous re-election campaign when she was unopposed, and now that she has a challenger, she's had to find cover from his relentless attacks. Former Worcester prosecutor Jim McKenna mounted a write-in campaign to be Coakley's Republican challenger. He needed 10,000 signatures to get on the ballot, but with a single issue that energized voters, he got plenty more.
Our message was and is that we need to fight public corruption. We can't just sit back. And because of what they did, we now have a choice. So this went from absolute zero in July. 60 days later, we had 27,000 voters on board.
I knew it would be a tough re-election. It should be, by the way. I think voters want to see candidates. We should be challenged and asked about what we do. All elected officials owe it to voters. I certainly saw that firsthand. I take nothing for granted.
As an adjunct assistant professor of ethics at Worcester Polytechnic Institute, McKenna stands on his principles.
I believe in doing things, not just sitting back and talking about them. I believe in doing what is right, doing what is fair. And one of the primary objectives of this campaign is to help restore trust in government.
As the incumbent, Coakley stands on a record of 25 years in law enforcement.
I think that I have a proven record of being a stand-up and a competent lawyer on behalf of people in the Commonwealth, small businesses in the Commonwealth, kids, consumers, taxpayers. We run an office that every day stands up for people and frankly gets very good results.
To McKenna, Coakley's run for the Senate left her compromised. He says she's too concerned with her political future to be an effective attorney general.
To do the job right, you have to prosecute your party, the other party, independents, everybody, regardless of party. You have to do what's right, you have to do what's fair. And you can't do that if you're worried about prosecuting someone whose support you'll need or whose friends' support you'll need.
Coakley says her successful prosecutions of Goldman Sachs and UBS, her handling of the church sexual abuse cases, actions against Craigslist and others demonstrate her skill and dedication.
This isn't a question of, trying to go into court or grandstanding on cases. This is about focusing on why did we bring the case in the first place? What is the investigation about? And what are we trying to achieve?
McKenna points to the prosecution of former State Representative Diane Wilkerson as a source of public cynicism, as well as Coakley's failure.
Senator Wilkerson was convicted of a felony. She was then charged with different offenses. During the pendency of those second round of offenses, she was given immunity by Martha Coakley. After that, during that time, she was given immunity. She was also accepting bribes.
Coakley says this is just plain wrong, and she says McKenna's repeated accusations reflect his misunderstanding of the legal concept.
She did not. She could not receive immunity from anyone other than a judge. And in fact, Massachusetts law says that there is no such thing as immunity for campaign finance violations. We handled that civil case appropriately. The federal government brought charges against her. His accusations around this particular issue are factually untrue and they're legally untrue.
McKenna says Coakley simply hasn't done enough. He'll set up a full-time unit of prosecutors to root out public corruption. For McKenna, it's a simple equation.
If they're accepting bribes, yeah, they should be very concerned. If they're doing their job, they've got nothing at all to worry about because they're not breaking the law or breaching public trust.
And we brought over 40 cases. We cooperate with the DAs if that's the best way to do it. We cooperate with the federal government. Well, one of the first things I did was reorganize in our criminal bureau to set up a fraud and corruption unit. We have 6 or 7 attorneys assigned to that. We have several investigators assigned to that. And I'm proud of our record on public corruption.
McKenna has also hit Coakley hard on immigration. He'd require everyone brought before a judge to prove their immigration status, but admits people can't be forced to incriminate themselves.
I think anyone who's arrested or arraigned on criminal charges, that is, anyone arraigned in court on criminal charges should tell us who they are. Everybody. Should they invoke that right, which is perfectly acceptable under our government, under our Constitution. As they do so, the government must prove who they are.
McKenna says the controversial national health care bill is unconstitutional, and if elected, he says he'll work to overturn it. Coakley isn't concerned with the federal law, but says she's concentrating on making the Massachusetts version more affordable.
The Attorney General's office is responsible for enforcing the law, and that's what we'll do. We'll enforce all the laws, whether I like them or not.
The final poll of the campaign, released just days before the election, shows Coakley leading McKenna by over 10 points. The fight ends Tuesday, and the voters will deliver the final verdict. For the Boston University News Service, I'm Jason Martyr.